Okay, so let's talk about, here we are for the guitar lesson class. And the first thing we got to work on is an even strum with the right hand. Really, everything revolves around the beat. And I can get very funky, very weird. But you'll see that whatever happens, my right hand keeps going down and up. Sometimes the motions are bigger, sometimes they're smaller, sometimes they're really loud, sometimes they're really soft. But all that creates all the excitement and energy. But the first thing is to get your hand to move down, up at a steady, even tempo. And so you want to practice doing this on the beat. Unfortunately, doing this is it doesn't sound like anything, and beat's very boring. So for that purpose, we're going to add the E chord. The E chord consists of putting your pointer finger on the third thinnest string. 1, 2, 3, at the first fret. Notice how my finger gets as close as I can to the fret without crossing it. I'm not pressing on the fret itself. I'm a little behind it, and pressing all the way down. It's important to press all the way down on the string, because if you press halfway, you're going to get this kind of note. Also, another thing, it's important to arch your fingers. And what I mean by that is it's important to make sure that the flesh of the finger here doesn't touch these strings, because then you're going to strum maybe a really good note here, but you're going to get a lot of muted notes in the background. So make sure you get your fingers arched so you can press this note and not touch the next two strings. The next note we're going to add is the middle finger here on the 5th string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At the 2nd fret. Again, I'm trying to get as close as I can to the fret without crossing it over. You see here I got some of these blocked notes. I really have to arch my fingers. The last note we got to add is the ring finger on the 4th string at the 2nd fret. Notice that now that the ring finger here is as close as it can, it doesn't leave a lot of room for the middle finger to get to the fret. You're going to have to back it up, and you're probably going to have to press a little harder with it. Another thing that helps is using the thumb a lot to help you squeeze the neck of the guitar from the back rather than doing this. Really squeeze it. And there's your E chord. So now you can practice this and it's not going to sound so horrible. 3. Make sure that you keep the same speed all the time. You know, you can pick a really fast speed or a really slow speed. This fast is good to kind of get your hand going and stamina and make it interesting. The slow is really good to make sure that you're getting every note nice and clean and not like that. So that's the first step. So playing this will wear you out very quickly because it doesn't go anywhere. And this is why it's a good idea to start with the E chord, because the E chord has a very unique, interesting phenomena to it, which you can play it almost anywhere, and it's going to give you a lot of different sounds and different textures that will make it interesting for you to play it. And what you want to do is kind of work your way up the neck, playing a little bit here. And once I get bored with that sound, I'm just going to slide everything up. Key thing, and make sure you keep your finger position here together. Don't do this because you're wasting time trying to relocate your fingers to the next position. As you can see, you're still going to have to pay some attention to this because the distance of the fret becomes smaller and smaller. And as you move up, all of a sudden your fingers have to occupy have a lot less space to occupy, and you really got to make sure they're all squeezing in together, nice and neat. Notice that my pinky is never here below the neck, it's above, getting ready. You never know when you're gonna need it for something. So just kind of work your way up. The key thing to do is to make the switch while you continue to strum at the same tempo. Notice that my right hand did not stop for anything. What happens to a lot of people in the beginning is they do this. And you saw my right hand just stopped. You want to keep this going. Couple ways to deal with that. One is kind of plan in your head what you're going to do before you actually execute it. So to visualize yourself how your fingers are all going to move, and paint a little movie in your head of the transition. Another thing is, when you do make a mistake, try to fix it as you're strumming. And what I mean by that is something like this. Oops, I lost it. Let me look again. So my first finger is supposed to go here. And it's going to sound a little weird and funky in the beginning. And then my ring finger. And then my middle finger. Okay, now I got it. And the last thing is to play slower. When you're playing slower, you have more time in between the strums to make the adjustments you need to do. Look how much time I have in between the strums to really make sure I get every finger down in place.